earthworms actually eat microbes. They don't like plant material. They eat the plant material because it's coated in microbes. So, they're eating a leaf to get the microbes. They don't really want to eat leaves.
Right.
So the more earthworms you have, the more microbes you have.
You talk about different kinds of tests, different approaches, but in every one of those little sections, you have a little gray box that says, like, here's a neat little sort of low budget home gardener sort of test you can do that'll give you, an idea of what's going on in your soil. So why don't you talk about a few of those? I think in the email I sent you, I listed about 5, but anything else you want to add there is fine. Yeah.
So most of these soil properties can be tested by a professional lab, but gardeners don't do it because it's just too expensive. So when I wrote the book, I looked for tests that you could do at home that would give you some way to evaluate these characteristics. And one of the ones I suggest everybody do is to measure their texture. Now, soil texture, if you think about texture, it's how it feels. And the way I remember what that texture word means is that if it's sandy, it will feel very gritty. If you have a lot of clay, it feels very smooth because the clay is very small. And the first time you do it, you might not notice a difference. But if you go and touch some soils, very quickly you learn to tell the difference a little bit. A much better way is to take some of that soil, put it in a jar with some water, shake it up, and the sand is big and heavy. So within a minute, it all settles. And then you just put a line on the jar to show how much sand you had.
You mean
then
put it with more water than you have soil, sort of thing?
Yeah, and the amounts don't really matter, right? So you let's say 1/3 soil, 2/3 water, but as long as you have more water, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Right? And a good clear jar works well for this. So then we wait for an hour, and the silt is smaller than sand, so it settles next, and it takes about an hour for the silt to settle. And then you do another line, and then clay is very, very tiny, so we have to wait 24 hours for it to settle. And sometimes it doesn't even settle, so you can throw in a few salt crystals, like table salt will work. So we want that to settle. So we wait the 24 hours, put another line, and then based on how far the lines are apart, you can calculate your texture. And I do a video that works you through all the calculations.
Using a ruler and doing some basic math sort of thing.
Yeah, you measure the height of each line, and then you go over to your texture chart and you look it up. And it's relatively simple, and it's quite accurate, actually. I mean, it's not as good as a lab, but it's good enough for gardeners, right? So I know in my garden, I have about 40% clay, right? And about 20% sand, and the rest is silt. So now I know the type of soil I have, and that tells me something about how I treat that soil. So people with clay soil, it means that they tend to stay wet. They compact easily. They're nutritious. So people hate digging in clay, and people with clay soil go, oh God, I hate this stuff because it's heavy, it's hard to dig, it clumps, it gets all over your shoes and so on. But the nice thing about clay soil is it's got lots of nutrients in there because the clay holds the nutrients. At the other end of the spectrum, we have people with sand, and that's easy to dig in, but it dries really quick and it doesn't hold any nutrients. So the people with sand are constantly throwing in fertilizer or compost, trying to get enough nutrients in there to grow things, and that's a problem as well. All right, but figuring out your texture is actually quite simple, and you can do that this time of year. You don't have to do this in summer. It doesn't matter when you do it, right? As long as the ground's not so frozen you can't dig, you can run that test. What was the other one? Oh, the microbes. So I talk a lot in the book about the importance of microbes to healthy soil. And many people are starting to understand that, but quite honestly, most people don't know why they're that important. But they do know we need microbes, and microbes are good in the soil. How many do you have? Well, it turns out that that's a really hard question to answer for a gardener. And there just isn't any good way of doing that. Now, there's a relatively simple way, and that is to count earthworms. So there's actually a procedure where you dig like a 1 by 1 foot square, 1 foot deep, dig all that soil out, and you actually count the number of earthworms. And that tells you how many microbes you have. And the reason is that earthworms actually eat microbes. They don't like plant material. Okay, they eat the plant material because it's coated in microbes. So, you know, they're eating a leaf to get the microbes. They don't really want to eat leaves.
Right.
So the more earthworms you have, the more microbes you have.
Right.
So that gives you a rough idea. The other way that I found a couple of years ago, which I just thought was so funny, that the first time I read it, I thought, oh, this got to be a joke, but it actually turns out to work pretty well. And that is the whitey tighty test. Right? So you go out and get yourself some good men's white cotton underwear. Okay. Well, cotton is an organic matter, and microbes digest organic matter. So you take this underwear, you weigh it, you bury it for what, 5 weeks?
How deep should you bury it?
It doesn't really matter, but put it where the roots are. So I'd say like 6 inches deep, kind of thing. You want to measure the microbes near the surface. All right. Now you could actually do an experiment where you have several and you do them at different depths.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
What you'll find is most of the microbes are in the top 6 inches. And then as you go deeper and deeper, you'll have fewer and fewer microbes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, you wait the 5 weeks, you dig it up and have a look at it, and you can weigh it again if you want to calculate it accurately. Now, if most of the underwear is gone, then you got really good soil and you've got lots of microbes, right? So this test works better if you're comparing 2 areas. So you put 2 different underwear in there, or you do it from year to year to see if your improvement methods are actually working, right? Does underwear this year degrade faster than it did 3 years ago? And you know you're progressing in the right direction.
Yes.
Now there's a caveat about this, of course. You know, if you're a lady gardener, okay, these thongs that you wear, I mean, there just isn't enough material there to get good numbers. So you want a good wide pair of underwear.
All granny ones. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds really hokey, but it's actually used in some schools as a training exercise, and it does actually work. You get a qualitative analysis of your soil. Yeah. And it's a fun thing to do, right?
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. It's a good indirect measure.
Yeah. So what are some other things you can do? Well, drainage is another one that plagues a lot of people. And so what you do is you dig a hole about 1 foot by 1 foot, and it can be round, it doesn't have to be square, 1 foot deep. Take that soil out, fill it with water, and let the water run away. That may take a while depending on your soil, but we want that soil around that hole to be fully saturated. And the easiest way to do is you do this one day and you come back the next day, and hopefully the hole is dry. If not, you get terrible drainage. When you come back the next day, the soil's all wet, the hole is empty, and now you fill it a second time and you measure it with a ruler. Okay, so you might have a 10-inch hole and you say, okay, I got 10 inches of water. Then you wait an hour and measure it again, and wait another hour and measure it again. And what you want to calculate is how quickly that water runs away.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you end up with something between 1 and 3 inches per hour, that's good soil. It's draining well. If we have a number that's less than 1 inch, which means it's just not going away, then you have poor drainage. But the other end of the range is also important. So if you're faster than 3 inches, that means you have too much drainage. Okay, right. You're probably in a sandy soil and the water's running away. That's not good for plants either, because it means they're going to be dry a large amount of the time. Or you have to do a lot of watering, right? Yes. So you want to be in that 1 to 3 inch range. And if you're outside of that, then you have issues. And now we find a way to kind of solve those problems and try and improve that drainage.
Right.
But that's a test that anybody can do. It's pretty accurate and quite easy to do.
Yeah.
The other one is compaction. Compaction is terrible for soil, it's terrible for microbes, and it's terrible for plants. So we don't want compaction anywhere. And compaction can be measured with what's it called, a penetrometer to see how deep it is. But those are a couple $100. You don't really need one of those. You can just use a wire. So you get a stiff wire and you literally push it into the ground.
Like a coat hanger sort of thing?
A coat hanger, yeah. Straighten the coat hanger, push it in the ground and see how far you can push in the ground before it starts to bend. Okay, so you want a wire that's reasonably stiff, right? You don't want a really skinny thing, but a coat hanger would work well.
Right.
Now, that doesn't really tell you a whole lot, but if you can get it down a foot before it bends, then you have great soil.
Wow.
Okay. Where it's really useful is to compare two areas. So if you look at your garden, the areas that are probably the least compacted are along your fence lines, because nobody walks there.
Yeah. Yes.
Or if you're near a field where you know the soil is like yours, but there's an empty field next door that nobody touches, in a place like that. So you want to measure a couple places and you do a comparison. You know, what is your flower bed like compared to your lawn, for instance? How do those two compare to the fence line? And we assume the fence line is uncompacted soil because nobody walks there, right? And then we can see what that difference is, and we can see the compaction, and we can also measure it over time. So you measure it this year and you do it again next year and see if the things you're doing in your garden are actually improving compaction, or maybe they're making them worse, right?
Right.
So there's a number of things that you can do. They're fairly simple, and it gives you a good input into your soil conditions.
I like all these tests because they don't cost anything.
That's
Well,
right.
they're very logical. Like, it's very pragmatic. So it's right up my alley. I think I might do some of these this summer just for fun and maybe make a video of it.